What's up, friends? Happy Friday. Welcome into the Pack a Day podcast. Welcome to the weekend. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. Thanks so much for being here today. Before I jump in, I just want to say thank you, all the comments, all the DMs, everything that I've been super appreciative of the camp coverage and the YouTube videos and the podcast and everything. I've seen them. I've noticed them. It's gone a long way. So thank you for all of that. And more than anything, just really appreciate you checking out the podcast 365 days a year. So thanks so much for doing that. If you're not already, make sure to subscribe. But before we jump into today's main topic, which is going to be, of course, about day 7 of Packers practice, which was an insanely hot Packers practice, but a really fun one that had some very competitive periods. I actually want to start by going over a TV hit that Rob Demovsky did that I got a ton of questions on. And I'll start by reading the quote that Rob had from that hit. And he basically said, quote, "We've seen Jordan Love have one really good day. He's had one sort of decent day, and the rest, well, you walk off the field or walk off the practice field thinking that this might be a really, really long year." I've had a lot of people reach out to me because I've mostly been positive, I think, about Jordan Love so far and what he's been able to accomplish. He's been on my player of the day, I think at least 2 times, maybe, I think 2 times. And like I said, I've really enjoyed his process and how he's gone about things. So there seems to be some sort of disconnect there, right? I've been mostly positive about Jordan, save for the first day, which was a rough first day. And, then when you hear Rob say, man, you walk off the practice field thinking this could be a really, really long year. Well, what's the disconnect between the two? So a couple things. I want to very much be very clear in saying this. I have so much freaking respect for Rob Demovsky. He's awesome. He's been nothing but great to me. So no negative towards Rob here at all. And I want to follow that up by saying I think this is very much in the eye of the beholder. And listen, if Rob is in that belief, listen, he's covered this team far longer than I have. And I would say that's a very trustworthy voice, right? But what I want to go back to is I very much think that this is in the eye of the beholder a little bit, because you can look at what Jordan and this offense has done so far, and you can be very pessimistic about what we've seen. I mean, 5 of the 6 days, he's been around 50% passing. He's had one really good day, which Rob mentioned, and the rest are, if we're being honest, kind of meh. And I think that's a fair way to kind of assess it so far if you're looking at the overall productivity. Where I kind of fall on this so far is I don't necessarily disagree with Rob on leaving the practice field at times looking at the offense and saying, man, this could be a long year. However, I put that sort of more on the offense as a whole so far and not necessarily on Jordan. Now, what I will tell you that I struggle with a little bit is I don't know that I can necessarily point to anything with the number 1 offense and say, look at this is what's broken. I like the wide receivers. I think Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Samori Toure, Jaden Reed, and that group has come together pretty well, and I'm excited to see what they're going to be able to do this season. I think Luke Musgrave is going to add a different dimension to this offense. Is he a finished product yet? No, but I do think he's going to add a little juice to a tight end room that was desperately in need of a little bit of juice. I think Bakhtiari, when he's been out there, has been great. Jenkins has been really good at left guard. I think they're still figuring some things out with the rest of the line, but I don't think the offensive line has been bad in any way, shape, or form. And I think the running backs have been mostly solid in a training camp where you can't get much out of running backs until you actually get to preseason and regular season and actual tackling. But overall, there's not one thing that I can point to with the offense, Jordan Love included, and say, this is what the issue is, or this is what's broken, and this is what needs to get fixed. I do think a couple different things are at play here. First of all, as much as it may pain some people to hear, and as much as I don't put any stock into it until we start seeing things in the regular season, I do think the defense has done a pretty nice job so far, and I would tip my cap a little bit to the way that the defense has played. However you want to react to that is more than fine, but I do think they deserve some credit for how they've handled the offense so far. But I would start there. The second thing I would say is this is the time of year where I don't care if you're in college, if you're in the pros, if you're in high school, that first week of training camp, the defense is almost always ahead of the offense. This isn't new. This happened even with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. the offense just takes time to get into rhythm and just kind of figure out what they do well. And in the meantime, the defense takes advantage, and it looks a little bit disjointed on the offense's end. If you hear from a lot of different training camps around the league right now, you will hear a very similar story that the defense is ahead of the offense. So I think that's partly at play here. And then I think from an offensive side of things, as we sort of expected going in, this is a first-time starting quarterback with a starting rookie tight end. Tucker Kraft has certainly been rotating in as another rookie tight end. It's not like Tyler Davis has 10,000 snaps under his belt. That's another inexperienced player. Josiah DeGuara, even before he had the injury, not a ton of snaps under his belt either. And then you've got wide receivers in Christian Watson, who basically played a half of last year. Romeo Doubs, who basically played a half of last year. Samori Toure, who barely played last year. And then all rookies. So this is an offense that's going to take a little bit of time to gel. Furthermore, I think what this offense is going to do well is basically pick on some mismatches and really be able to stack plays together that are going to be like, if you're running one play stretch, zone left, and then you're bootlegging off of it, to the right, like whatever, like this is a play that can stack plays on an offense that can stack plays on top of each other and really make defenses think a lot. And that doesn't necessarily work quite as well when you're running 2-minute drills in offense or when you're running red zone periods in offense. It's not like a complete game plan that you're putting together. And I do think this offense will also be better when you have a game plan and you're able to stack plays on top of each other and show the defense one thing and then come back with another in the third quarter. Like, I just don't think that that's what's happening right now. And Matt LaFleur's even mentioned that they're still in like the install phase of offense. So I have no real long-term concern at this point for the offense, but I do think some of those things that I just mentioned are at play. And going back to Jordan and sort of absolving him from a little bit of this is we've seen that really good day from Jordan, which was fantastic. He was, spinning the ball all over the field, deep, intermediate, short, and just having a ton of confidence. The first day was a tough day, which I've talked about. 4 completable deep balls down the field, which all 4 were incomplete. And that, to me, was mostly on Jordan, if not all on Jordan. Day 2, he had the poor numbers and an interception. The interception was a diving play by Jair, tipped in the air, picked off by Devondre Campbell. Meanwhile, he had 2 really nice touchdown passes, including a absolute bullet tight window throw to Christian Watson for a touchdown. And overall, I liked his decision-making on that day. Then you had the walkthrough. Came back on Saturday, had a dominant performance, which is the one that we've been talking about. And then this week, I wanted to see him stack success off of that Saturday practice where he was so great. I don't think we saw that, but we had 1 interceptable pass that we saw from Jordan, the one that he threw directly to Quay Walker. I would argue that that is the one, and I mean the one real true bad throw, bad mistake, bad decision. I should say bad decision that Jordan has made so far. He had the 4 bad throws on the first day, maybe 3 out of 4, but certainly 4 that he probably could have completed. And if he throws on that day, I would say he's had maybe 2 or 3-ish poor throws in the rest of the practices where he had guys open and maybe just missed it here and there, but nothing egregious, like maybe a throw per day. But overall, the 1 poor decision through 7 practices, 6 competitive so far, I'm very, very good with that. He had the 1 play where Rasul kind of undercut it a little bit. Maybe would have liked to have had that back, but wasn't egregious. The play that was actually intercepted, that was tight and contested, wasn't egregious. I didn't mind the read. I didn't hate the throw. It just was a great play by Jair. He's had a couple like that where he maybe tried to force a ball in, a couple times in some red zone situations where he basically had to take a chance at things. And I know a lot of people are caught up on the numbers. There have been some spikes that are included in that incompletion percentage. There have been some throwaways that have been really good, smart decisions on throwaways. There have been a couple throws where he didn't have anything open and he put it in spots where maybe his guy would have a chance, but if not, then it was going to fall harmlessly incomplete, that I liked his decision making on those. There were plays that, like to Jaden Reed, that falling away, fading away, throw down the field in a 2-minute drill that was a ridiculous pass that was dropped by Jaden Reed. There's a red zone play where he rifled a bullet right into Jaden Reed at the goal line that was dropped by Jaden Reed. Neither of those were easy catches by Jaden, but both I'm sure he would tell you he could have and should have had. There was some drops by Christian Watson earlier in camp. Today, or on yesterday's practice, on practice number 7 that we're talking about right now, Jordan threw an absolutely gorgeous deep post to Christian Watson, 40 yards down the field. And it was definitely contested, I think, by Rasul Douglas, if memory serves. But that's a play that I think Christian could have come down with. And it was a beautiful, perfect throw. And that's been sort of the issue at times, is that some of the great plays that Jordan has made have just not ultimately been completed. And I think had they been caught and had his teammates maybe helped him out a little bit in those situations, I think that you would be talking about a much different camp so far for Jordan Love. And it goes the other way too. On that first day that Jordan had 4 players down the field, he had Samore, I think he had Jaden on one, he had Watson on one, he had Musgrave on one. If he completes those, the offensive day looks a lot better on that particular practice as well, right? And I think that's just where this offense is at. And I think, to Rob's point, get ready a little bit for that. And I've been talking about this since, the Aaron Rodgers trade and since Jordan took over and since they drafted a bunch of rookies at wide receiver and tight end. There is a ton of youth on this offense. And with youth comes inexperience, inconsistency, and volatility. And I think there are going to be days like that Saturday practice for Jordan in this offense where you're like, oh my goodness, like this looks great. This looks amazing. I think there's going to be days like that first day of practice for Jordan where you've got some incompletions that could have been there for Jordan and he just didn't make the throw at sometimes. I think that's going to happen. I think there's going to be other days where Jordan's dealing and his receivers and tight ends just aren't helping him out, and you're going to have some drops and you're going to have some plays where the offensive line probably breaks down. That's just the type of offense that this is right now, especially week 1 into practice. And I'm definitely willing to give it a little bit more accident forgiveness on that first week of practice. So what I think is this is going to be an offense that has to help each other out, right? When Jordan makes a rifle pass over the middle or makes a ridiculous fading away play in a 2-minute drill and Jaden Reed has opportunities to catch it, he needs to catch it. When Christian Watson is running a deep post and Love hits him in stride in a perfect spot, couldn't hand it to him any better. Yeah, it's contested, but you know what I want to see? I want to see Christian Watson make that play. And when Luke Musgrave is streaking down the field on day 1 of practice and has Corey Ballantyne beat, I want to see Jordan put that on him and not, end up, putting a little too much air under it and leaving it underthrown. I would also like to see Luke Musgrave come back to that football and just go make a play and say, screw it, I'm 5 inches taller than the guy covering me. I don't care if it's underthrown. I'm just going to go out and, out jump and out muscle the guy anyway. So those are the things that this offense is working through. And yes, 5 of the 6 days were around 50% completion percentage and left you as an offense a little bit meh. But that's what Matt LaFleur is saying and he said it multiple times. I think he said it in the interview with Tom Pelissero from NFL Network on Thursday as well, is that everyone wants to talk about what's Jordan doing for this offense. How does Jordan Love look? What is Jordan good? Is he bad? What's he going to bring to the table? What are the expectations? And Matt's been great this entire time in saying it's not just Jordan. It has to be everyone. The offense has to protect him. If the line's breaking down, that's going to make things brutal for Jordan. And so far it hasn't. I think the offensive line's been pretty good. But if they break down, it's going to be a rough season for Jordan. And if the receivers are dropping passes, not coming back to the ball, not getting open for him, it's going to be a tough season for Jordan. If they can't run the ball, it's going to be probably a tough season for Jordan. And on the flip side, if Jordan can't hit some of those open plays like he missed on the first day, it's going to be a tough day for the offense. So it just has to be everyone on the same page. And when you're week 1 into practice with a bunch of rookies and inexperienced players and a first-time starting quarterback, this is what I expected. And that's why when I go back to Jordan Love, and I know everyone wants to harp on the 50% completion percentage and those sort of things, 1 interception, 1 legitimate poor throw that should have been an interception, a lot of good decision-making, good control of the offense, touchdown to check down, trying to see when he can find plays down the field, and when he can't, he knows where to go with the football. He knows where his checkdowns are. He knows how to get through his progressions. He knows when to scramble. He knows how to keep his eyes downfield. He knows how to keep the play alive. He's made some extremely wow throws. And outside of the first day, where he missed those 4 passes, I've overall been excited about the accuracy that I've seen by him. Is it perfect yet? No. And if this is the same Jordan Love that we see At the end of training camp, I think that's different. And I think at that point, I would be a little bit more of like, let's be a little bit more cautious of what this is going to look like. But what I expected out of the first week of training camp, when defenses are ahead and you have so much inexperience and a first-time starting quarterback, this is by far ahead of what I expected it to be at this point. So not really disagreeing with Rob in the assessment that if this offense looks the way like this way through the entirety of the season and struggles to complete 50% of its passes, yeah, probably going to be a long year, right? I don't disagree with that. I just probably don't put quite as much stock into where this season is. And it's not like Rob is saying that that is the case, right? He didn't say Jordan has struggled and it's made you question if this could be a really, really long year. And because of what I've seen so far, I know that this is going to be a really, really long, like that's not what he said. He just said if this is what we see all year, it's going to be a really, really long year. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. 50% completion percentage and, not getting some of those explosives completed because whether it's due to drops or some inaccuracies from time to time, yeah, that's not going to get the job done. But with where I'm at with Jordan and how I've seen him quarterback this offense so far, I still remain rather excited at this point. Do I want to see more of those Saturday performances where he tore it up? Yes. Do I think that there's going to be some of those days where he's just having some inaccuracies and incompletions? Probably. But so far, so good. And I am more bullish on where Jordan is, as I've been saying all along. Now, there's 4 things here for Jordan, right? There's 4 potential outcomes. Or I guess maybe you could pose it as questions, however you want to look at it. The question is ultimately going to become, are you winning because of Jordan Love? Are you winning with Jordan Love? Are you losing with Jordan Love? Or are you losing because of Jordan Love? And those are 4 very different outcomes, right? For 30 years, basically, for the vast majority of the time, Green Bay won because of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. There are times they won with them, but most of the time they won because of them. They have been a successful franchise for 30 seasons, in large part because of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Can this be a team that wins because of Jordan Love? So far, I have not seen that. Okay? Are you winning with Jordan Love? So far, they've won one of the competitive periods, which was today's practice, and made the defense do some up downs. And even in that, they lost the 2-minute drill portion of that with the ones and with Jordan Love. They've had one really good practice, as Rob pointed out on that Saturday practice. So I'm not sure that they're winning yet with Jordan Love. Are they losing with Jordan Love? Maybe that's closer to being the case. I certainly and would vehemently say they at this point are not losing because of Jordan Love. So they're not winning because of Jordan Love. They're not losing because of Jordan Love. Right now, it's somewhere in that middle. And it's going to take time to figure out. And certainly when we get into the season, it's like, all right, are they winning with Jordan Love or are they losing with Jordan Love? Or does it become one of the other ones? That's what's going to be the big question through the course of the season. And if it starts becoming that they're winning because of Jordan Love, that is a franchise-altering moment. If it's one of those middle ones where Jordan's playing fine, but the result of the game is more of like the pieces around him, that's like the 49ers, right? The 49ers probably not going to win because of Brock Purdy, but they certainly can win with Brock Purdy and all of those incredible pieces around him. So they could easily get to a point this season where they realize, hey, this team is losing some games, but it's not because of Jordan. If we had the right pieces around Jordan and a more veteran team, we could win with Jordan, similarly to what the 49ers do. Or maybe he takes that step and Green Bay can win because of Jordan. All this is going to take time. If it starts getting towards the opposite end of the spectrum and they end up losing because of Jordan Love, then that's when you get into this could be a very long season and you're going to have to probably start looking for a new quarterback sooner rather than later. Right now, I think this team is winning or losing with Jordan Love, not because of him, and I think it's going to be largely dependent on the pieces around him, supporting him, and Jordan elevating his game through the course of the year so that he doesn't have those moments of inaccuracy like we saw on the first day. So that is where I am at with Jordan Love right now. Don't vehemently disagree with Rob in any real major way, but just I'm kind of with Matt LaFleur a little bit more where I think this is the offense as a whole and not Jordan Love. And it's hard because, and the last thing here, it's hard because we are used to as Packer fans and people who cover the Packers of being, you win or lose in large part because of the way that Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre played. If they played great, you were going to win more often than not. If they played poorly, you were going to lose more often than not, right? That's the way that the team was set up. It was set up based around the quarterback. Now it's a little bit different. I don't think that this team is set up to win or lose because of Jordan Love, and it's going to be partly on what the offense does around him, and there's a lot of youth and inexperience there. So it's going to be a little bit of a change in direction for a lot of people, and I think that's where I'm at with it right now, is it's just a little bit different, and we need to go into the season and see what Jordan's capable of. But right now, I remain positive with what I've seen from Jordan so far. All right, on to practice. I did my quick hits recap. So if you want to go through the 2-minute drills and some of that stuff in a little bit more detail, go back and listen to that. I'm going to hit through some of this a little bit more quick hits version today. New injury, Josiah DeGuara out with a calf injury. Returning from injury was Dontavian Wicks from the concussion. That was great to see. Still out and injured, Rashawn Gary, Eric Stokes, Grant Dubose, and Jake Hansen. David Bakhtiari out as well, seemingly that this would be a rest day for him. And then Aaron Mosby still not in attendance. They officially claimed him on waivers later in the day, so he was not at practice yet either. Love had another 50-ish% completion day, 8 of 16 passes. Once again, as I mentioned earlier, his best throw of the day was a drop by what I would consider a tough contested drop by Christian Watson in the 2-minute drill on a deep post that was beautifully, beautifully thrown. And that's been kind of the issue so far. And that's where Matt LaFleur talks about it's not just Jordan Love, it's going to take everyone. That's a great example of that. One of those incompletions on the 8 of 16 was a spike in the 2-minute drill. Yet a gorgeous throw to Jaden Reed over the middle of the field. And overall, I thought this was another consistent day for Jordan Love, meaning like these are the type of days that we've seen where he's had a couple really impressive throws. One of them was dropped again, in my opinion. He had some, plays where he kind of got rid of the ball. I think one ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. He had the spike play. He had some checkdowns that got him some easy completions. But overall, kind of I would say up and down. But again, he didn't make any egregious throws. I thought Quay Walker made a great diving pass break up in the 2-minute drill as well. And sometimes the defense able to get their hands on a ball or two and knock some things down and make your life difficult. That's where things have kind of been for this offense so far. And I'll say it one more time, tip your cap to the defense a little bit too. So was it a wow day from Jordan? No. Was it a bad day? Certainly not. This is kind of the Jordan Love experience that we've had so far, and that maybe goes back a little bit to what Rob was saying. But I'm very, very good with where Jordan is at this point, and we just need to see some consistent improvement as time goes on. But there's a lot of time for that left, and in no way, shape, or form am I in panic mode or thinking that Jordan's struggling so far through training camp. Rasul Douglas. So a lot of talk about him throughout the day, in large part because in all my time watching the Packers in practice, training camp, mini camp, OTAs, all of it, etc., I have never seen a player be this outgoing and just trash talking in the middle of practice. He was going off, and I mean he was going off. He was taunting the offense, telling them that they sucked, like in a lot of different vulgar words mixed in with that as well. Like he was getting after the offense. Now, I was kind of waiting to see if maybe the coaches were going to say like, hey, no, I didn't see any of that. And you could tell, like, listen, the defense up until this point had won every single day. And Rasul was letting the offense hear about it while the practice was going on in those 2-minute drills. And honestly, I think Rasul was trying to fire up the offense and say, hey, it is time for you to show up. We've been kicking your butt. We need you to be awesome this season. Let's start this right now. And after practice, he was, getting together with all of his guys and all the hugs and everything. So I do believe that there was some, modicum of love out of this from a teammate. But man, he was getting after the offense. You can tell, at least when it was happening, the offense wasn't taking too kindly to it, but it was a testament to this team and this brotherhood that there were no fights that broke out on a 95-degree day. At least it felt even warmer than that, where like it was a very intense practice with some extremely competitive periods. No shots fired, no punches thrown, no anything like that. And I thought this was a positive, and I love the leadership and the intensity from Rasul Douglas. Now, if that's a card that he played every single day at practice, maybe not a fan. But when they had won every day up until that point, hey, offense, time to put up or shut up. And I think the offense understood that to some extent as well. That being said, the offense did win the overall competitive periods for the day for the first time, and it was the defense that ultimately had to do the up downs at the end of the day. All right, one-on-ones, I talked about these in pretty great detail on the initial podcast, but Jayden Reed, one of my favorite routes of the day, and again, these are very advantageous for the offense, but Jayden Reed going down the field, Innis Gaines, he beats him a little bit off the line of scrimmage, throws his hand up and looks back at the quarterback to signal that he's got to step deep and to start getting ready to throw it to him deep. Just as he throws his hand up and looks back and Innis Gaines starts transitioning to sprint back on defense to make sure that he's got it covered, Jayden Reed cuts that route off on a dime. The quarterback hits him in rhythm. Innis Gaines is still turned around. Easy separation. Awesome play by Jayden Reed as a rookie. Really impressive stuff and nuance there. Dontavian Wicks, a little bit of a stutter step at the line of scrimmage and then makes a hard jab step outside, gets Keandre Thomas to go for it, and then crosses him over and just leaves him in the dust, broken ankles, 5 yards of separation, and an easy completion on the slant. Beautiful stuff from Dontavian Wicks. Luke Musgrave had a deep ball that they were able to complete. I don't recall exactly who was on coverage on the play, but Luke Musgrave with a really big play downfield and one-on-ones. And then Rasul Douglas had a awesome read on Romeo Doubs. And like Doubs had a great move. I got juked out. I'm like, so he went outside and then had an aggressive cut back inside. And I'm like, oh man, this is going to be an easy completion on the inside. And then Doubs cut it back outside and Douglas was just all over it. I don't know how he knew it was coming back outside, but he did and made an awesome play on the ball. And that's what we've seen a lot of from Rasul Douglas so far. Meanwhile, I was watching the receivers. Wes Hod and Bill Huber were watching the offensive line, defensive line. Apparently, Devontae Wyatt had another really impressive day, and Sean Ryan, once again, undefeated against Colby Wooden on the day. So Sean Ryan putting together some really nice reps in the one-on-one drills. Meanwhile, Anders Carlson, 4 of 6 on the day, missed his first one, which is a short field goal, but he did crush, and I mean crushed, a 54-yarder at the end that I think would have been good from like 68, maybe even 70. Like he hit it from 54, and it was on the top of the net, like right down the middle. And the crazy thing is there was like a high snap on the play. So high snap, Holder gets it down at the last second and he just crushes that thing. The leg, not in question. He has got power for days. The accuracy, very much in question. 66.6% on the day with 4 of 6. He is now 16 of 27 in camp, below 60%. That's not good enough. A little bit, enough to kind of keep you up at night thinking about what that could mean. This is a young team. We talked about the offensive struggles. If they get in the position to score points, they can't be having short field goals or any field goals missed for that matter. Not at a 40% clip of field goals being missed, right? So Anders needs to be a lot better. The leg is there. The accuracy has not been. The entire, process from snap to hold to kick needs to be perfect, and they need to get that down, but that has been a very big issue so far. All right, plays of the day, Emmanuel Wilson. So at the end of the practice, they did a live tackle period. So tackling was good to go. You could do full-on tackling. It was awesome. They did with just the younger guys, but Emmanuel Wilson kicked things off with a rumbling, stumbling, bumbling, like 30-yard, I don't know, maybe 25, 30-yard run where he broke multiple tackles. This had a little Marshawn Lynch playoff game where he's just breaking through everyone sort of feel to it. That was a really impressive play. He is a big back. He's got great vision. I've been impressed by him. I would be surprised if he's not at least a practice squad guy. Fun little player. I want to see more of him. I'm excited to see him in preseason, but that was an awesome run by Emmanuel Wilson, Tyler Goodson had a 39-yard run, fittingly for number 39, in that tackle period as well, where he went left side and he just got daylight and he was gone. And then the third big play, Tyler Goodson in the 2-minute drill for the number 2s, took a little pass to the outside, turned around, got upfield, used that awesome speed that he has. I think he would have had a chance to score in live play. They marked him down at the 8, but still, big-time explosive play. That's been something that's been lacking for the offense. Tyler Goodson comes up with 2 big explosive plays on the day, so kudos to him. And a lot of people have been asking me, Andy, like, you haven't been talking about the running backs much. Where have they been? Have they not been good? until you get into tackle periods, it's very tough for the running backs to have good days. Like they can come up and show, like, you can't be yourself when there's no live tackling. So finally we got some live tackling. Emmanuel Wilson, Tyler Goodson, both of those guys come to life and have big time runs in that live tackle period. My players of the day, Carl Brooks. He had at least 3 times where he was shooting into the backfield. I think one of the times at least would have been a sack, another pressure that could have been a sack, another play knifing into the backfield on a run play. Like, he looked really, really good on the day. To be fair, a lot of it's against second and third team guys, but I don't care. You can only go against the person that's across from you. Carl Brooks, really nice job. He's had a very, very nice camp so far. Rasul Douglas, I mentioned earlier, the intensity, the passion, but he's been really, really good in coverage as well. It's not easy being opposite Jair Alexander. He had a really nice day in coverage and continues to be good throughout the course of training camp. And then Tyler Goodson, we mentioned the 2 really big plays. He also had a crosser over the middle. Just a really nice day from Goodson as he tries to make it as the number 3 running back. Really quick hits, miscellaneous stuff that happened through the day. Taylor, two plays for Tyler Davis. He had an awesome block on the outside. Read option play to Jordan Love. And Love gets outside, picks up really nice yardage, all in large part due to Tyler Davis's block. I think it was Kingsley Enagbare. And just a beautiful, beautiful block by Tyler Davis. Then the next play, Kingsley Enagbare comes untouched on a rollout. And it looked like Matt LaFleur was not too happy with Tyler Davis after the play. Oh, and I should mention, Tyler Davis shouted out by Matt LaFleur the play previous, then gets kind of yelled at the next play. So a tale of 2 plays, but Matt Schneidman also points out in The Athletic that there were 2 other really impressive blocks by Tyler Davis, one on a end around to Romeo Doubs, one on a run by Aaron Jones. If you don't have Tyler Davis on your 53-man roster prediction right now, you are wrong, and put him on there. DeGuara is hurt, but even if he wasn't, this was the leading special teams player for the Packers a season ago and is by far and away their best blocking tight end right now. Tyler Davis is going to make this team. He's going to have a role on offense, and he's probably going to be a huge part of their special teams again. So make sure he is on all of your 53-man roster predictions. And by the way, he looks better too, so that's a good thing. Brenton Cox had a really nice couple plays on the day, one in run defense and then a pressure as well. Tucker Kraft had a great contested catch at the goal line on a 2-minute drill that was ended up stopped at the 1, but really, really nice catch and set up the following touchdown to Malik Heath. Number 2 offense won the 2-minute drill. Number 1 offense lost their 2-minute drill. The number 1 offense won the 2 4-minute drills. The number 2 offense lost their 4-minute drill, but overall the offense won for the day. Justin Hollins was in the number 1 edge spot ahead of Lucas Van Ness. Darnell Savage and Jonathan Owens started at safety, but they rotated those guys quickly, including Savage. This seems to be a 4-way race for 2 safety spots, and that 4-way race between Darnell Savage, Jonathan Owens, Tavarius Moore, and Rudy Ford. Kadeem Telfort, rough day. He had 2 full starts. Can't happen for an undrafted free agent rookie. Got to get that cleaned up. Per Matt LaFleur in the pre-practice press conference, easy to say, TJ Slayton and Jonathan Ford have upped their games. That was Matt LaFleur's quote. So they have upped their games. So nice shout out for Jonathan Ford there. Quay Walker, I mentioned earlier, really nice extended pass breakup in the 2-minute drill. Tariq Carpenter dropped what would have been an interception. Can't recall who the quarterback, I know it wasn't Jordan Love. It was one of the backups, but really key opportunity for Tariq to pick it off. Unfortunately, hits him in the chest and he drops it. And then Eric Wilson had a very nice run stuff behind the line of scrimmage on Lou Nichols. That's going to do it for me today. Thank you as always for joining me. We'll have another great episode lined up for you tomorrow, so make sure not to miss it. I'll see you guys then. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.